I died on the day I went to bring my biological daughter home. I was killed by the child I had raised, who deliberately ran me over at my doorstep. Just before I died, I heard her say, "Mom, who told you to stop me from living a good life?" I was reborn, back to the day when my daughter hadn't been switched. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying on a hospital bed, with my newborn daughter lying beside me. I looked at her, small and soft, lying quietly on the side, not crying or making a fuss. Peacefully asleep. In my previous life, not only was she switched by our nanny Li Xiufang, but she also suffered abuse from the entire Li family. From a young age, there wasn't a single spot on her body that wasn't injured, and even her meals consisted of whatever leftovers they had. At such a young age, she not only helped with housework every day but also became the punching bag for the entire family. Anyone who was unhappy could slap her a couple of times to vent their anger. How did I treat Li Xiufang's daughter? She always had the best clothes, tasted all kinds of delicacies, attended top schools, had 3 nannies, and was the apple of everyone's eye in the family. No one dared to say a harsh word to her. It wasn't until someone mailed me a paternity test that I realized the daughter I had cherished in my hands for over a decade was not my own. While my biological daughter was living a life worse than that of pigs and dogs, on the very day I brought her home, Shenjinjin orchestrated a plot that led to our deaths. She never got to enjoy a single good day with me before we both perished in that car accident. Shenjinjin, Li Xiufang, I will never let you off in this lifetime. I was still lost in the memories of my death in my previous life when the sound of the door opening interrupted me. Looking up, I saw my husband, Shen Qi, in my past life. He had tirelessly worked to uncover the truth behind my death, but in the end, he never found out what really happened. He ended up jumping from the rooftop. I looked at Shen Qi and sighed. What kind of fate does our family have? Are we just cannon fodder? Shen Qi noticed me staring at him and asked, "What's wrong? Does your wound hurt? Should I call a doctor?" I fixed my gaze on Shen Qi and asked, "Shen Qi, will you protect our daughter?" Shen Qi reached out and hugged his daughter lying on the bed. "This time, I will definitely protect you." The sound of knocking interrupted the conversation between Shen Qi and me. Pushing the door open was my family's nanny, Li Xiufang. I stared at her intently. It was she who swapped my daughter, then abused her, forcing her to live a life worse than that of pigs and dogs, while her own biological daughter was cherished in the palm of my hand. The impact of this realization made me wish I could tear her apart right then and there. Seeing that I remained silent, Li Xiufang asked, "Has the mistress given birth? Was it a boy or a girl?" I suppressed the hatred in my eyes and forced a smile. "Daughter, haven't you just given birth too? How come you're already up and about so soon?" Instead of resting in bed, Li Xiufang said, "It seems fate has brought us together, ma'am. I also gave birth to a daughter. You, being a lady of noble status, are not like us country folk. We have to get back to work right after giving birth." As I watched Li Xiufang looking around, I remembered how, in my past life, it was precisely because of her answer that I pitied her as a woman who had just given birth and offered her the room next to mine. Little did I know that in return, she would swap my daughter with hers and mistreat my child, allowing her own daughter to live a life of happiness. I showed a look of concern. "You mustn't say such things. We're both women, and after giving birth, it's crucial to recover properly. How about this? I'll have Shen Qi open the adjacent ward for you, so you can rest and recover properly." Li Xiufang happily stepped forward, grabbing my hand. "Thank you so much, madam. You're such a kind person. No need to thank me. If I don't pave the way for you, how will you proceed?" I thought to myself. Sure enough, not long after, I saw from the surveillance that Li Xiufang was holding Shenjinjin, saying, "You little brat, in a few days, I'll swap you for the young lady of the Shen family. Remember, when you get rich, you have to take care of your old mother." I watched Li Xiufang calling her dead girl over and over, wondering how she would feel in the future when she abused her own daughter. A few days later, I found an excuse to go for a checkup and asked Li Xiufang to look after the child. Li Xiufang quickly agreed, while I hid in the room and watched the surveillance. Sure enough, Li Xiufang swapped the children. Afterward, I had the nurse distract Li Xiufang and swapped Shenjinjin and my daughter back. I looked at Shenjinjin and said softly, "Shenjinjin, no, you won't be surnamed Shen this lifetime. Enjoy the good days brought by your real mother." I gave my daughter a new name, Shenlingxi, hoping she would be a unique treasure in this lifetime. In the blink of an eye, it was Shishi's 3rd birthday. To better understand Shenjinjin's situation, on Shishi's birthday, I deliberately asked Li Xiufang, "I remember your daughter's birthday is around the same time as Shishi's. Her birthday is coming up too. Let her come along. More people mean more fun." before I could finish. Li Xiufang hastily refused. No need, madam, little kids don't know better, they might cause trouble later. I didn't wait for Li Xiufang to refuse and directly handed the invitation to her. On Cici's birthday, Li Xiufang brought Shinjinjin along. Shinjinjin was wearing clothes that didn't suit her age, looking like they belonged to a boy. Her hair was a bit messy, and there were small scars on her face. At that moment, Cici came down the stairs in her princess dress to find me. Watching Cici descend, my heart couldn't help but soften. How wonderful, my daughter, this time mom won't let you step into that place again. Shinjinjin looked at Cici, dressed in a princess dress and wearing a crown on her head, and then at her own clothes, feeling an urge to reach out and touch them, but before she could extend her hand, Li Xiufang stopped her. Li Xiufang pinched Shinjinjin and whispered, "You reckless girl, you dare to touch anything. Don't you see how dirty your hands are? Do you even deserve to? Don't you know your own lowly status? How dare you even think about touching the young lady's clothes? You're not even worthy to carry her shoes." I watched as Li Xiufang cursed Shinjinjin. Did she curse my daughter like this in her previous life? I was so angry that I wanted to ask her right away, but I restrained myself, knowing I couldn't scare her off. I walked up to Li Xiufang and asked, "What's your daughter's name? It just so happens that Cici is looking for a playmate. Let them play together," Li Xiufang replied. "We country folks don't know how to name things, we just pick whatever cheap name is easy to raise, like cat or dog. She's not worthy of playing with Miss Cici. What kind of lowly life does she have?" I pretended to stop Li Xiufang from hitting Shinjinjin and said, "Really no name? Why not call her Jinjin? Look, we both have daughters, and daughters are precious. Your husband's surname is Jia, so let's call her Jia Jinjin. In the future, bring her to our house to keep Cici company." Under my persistent coaxing, Li Xiufang agreed to bring Shinjinjin to be Cici's playmate. During Cici's growth, I witnessed Li Xiufang's maternal love for Cici, but she dared not be too unrestrained in front of me. I also saw Li Xiufang's abuse and beatings of Shinjinjin. Sometimes, when I saw it, I would pretend to step in a few times. A few casual attempts to stop her would make Shinjinjin grateful to me, but in my previous life, the kindness I showed her was thousands or even tens of thousands of times more than now, yet it only earned her hatred. In the blink of an eye, Cici had already entered high school, growing more and more beautiful, and handling things with maturity. Occasionally, she could even discuss the company's development with Shin-Chi. Just like in my previous life, I sent Shinjinjin and Cici to that prestigious school. However, without the Shin family's backing, what tricks could Shinjinjin possibly pull off in that school full of cunning minds? On the first day of school, my informant at the school reported that rumors were circulating that Shinjinjin was the daughter of the Shin group. Shinjinjin neither confirmed nor denied the rumors, giving off an air of mystery. As I read the message from my informant on my phone, I realized why Shinjinjin had begged me this morning to let her ride to school with Cici. She had been planning this all along, but unfortunately, she was dealing with children from wealthy families. Lies would be exposed, and the consequences would be severe. Shinjinjin doesn't mind doing such things, but it can't affect Shishi. In the evening, I talked with Shishi and casually mentioned the rumors at school. Shishi looked at me and said, "Mom, don't worry, I don't cause trouble, but I'm not afraid of it either. She can just be my shield, and I can focus on dealing with those things." I stepped forward and hugged Shishi. "Shishi, you've grown up. It seems that people at school really see Shinjinjin as the daughter of the Shin group. Recently, many people have been fawning over Shinjinjin, making her a bit arrogant. She has been speaking to Shishi in a domineering manner." Before I could act, Li Xiufang's slap had already landed on Shinjinjin's face. Li Xiufang pointed at Shinjinjin's nose. "You little wretch, what do you think you are? Who do you think you are? The daughter of the Shin group? I'll beat you to death, you little wretch. You little brat, who do you think you are to dare boss Miss Cici around? What kind of person are you?" Shinjinjin was stunned by Li Xiufang's slap, but quickly begged for mercy, saying she was wrong. Only this time, I didn't stop it. "Shinjinjin, if you can rein yourself in and focus on studying properly, I might just let you off." Not long after, the informant sent another message saying that there seemed to be rumors at school about the daughter of the Shin group's chairman bringing the housekeeper's daughter to school. It was said that the housekeeper's daughter might be Shin Lingxi, as someone had seen them arriving at school together in the same car on the first day. Shinjinjin, oh Shinjinjin, you're still so vain. During dinner that evening, Cici told me that there would be a parent-teacher meeting tomorrow and someone needed to attend. This is a perfect opportunity, I thought to myself. I glanced at Li Xiufang, who was helping in the kitchen, and asked, "Auntie Li, There's a parent-teacher meeting tomorrow, will you be coming? Li Xiufang wiped her hands on her apron and said, parent-teacher meeting? What parent-teacher meeting? That wretched girl didn't mention anything about it, I told Li Xiufang. Then let's go together tomorrow. The next day, as soon as Li Xiufang and I entered the school, a student asked me, are you Xinjin's mother? You look so young and beautiful. Xinjin truly lives up to being the daughter of the Xin group. She has such a kind heart. Then she looked at Li Xiufang and asked, Auntie, so you are Xin Lingxi's mother, right? That's right. This person is someone I hired specifically to remind Li Xiufang about the switch of children. Hearing someone ask her this suddenly, Li Xiufang was so startled that her answers were stuttered. I walked to the classroom door, glanced at Xishi's seat, and directly walked over to sit down. During this, someone said, Auntie, Xinjin's seat is here. That one is Xin Lingxi's seat. I smiled and replied, no mistake, I am Xin Lingxi's mother, her genuine mother through and through. Hearing my response, the students in the class immediately erupted into chaos. Wow, wow, after all this time, it turns out Xin Lingxi is the real heiress. Then why didn't that Jia Xinjin explain when we asked her? Didn't she say she would take her mother's surname? Luckily, I never targeted Xin Lingxi. A few others, braving their courage, asked me, Auntie, what is your surname? What is your relationship with Jia Xinjin's mother? I continued to smile and replied, I am surnamed Yi, called Yi Yu. As for what my relationship is with Jia Xinjin's mother, why not ask Jia Xinjin's mother herself? The people who were just in front of me suddenly surrounded Li Xiufang. Surrounded by the crowd, Li Xiufang, who hadn't yet recovered from the earlier shock, was startled once again. Li Xiufang pieced together the whole story from the words of the crowd. When Xin Jinjin entered the room and saw Li Xiufang sitting in her seat with an angry expression, her face instantly turned pale and weak. Seeing Xin Jinjin, Li Xiufang unleashed all the pent-up anger from earlier, stepping forward and slapping Xin Jinjin twice, one on each side. Xin Jinjin's face immediately swelled up. As she hit her, Li Xiufang cursed, you wretched woman, don't you see what status you have? You still want to be the young lady of the Xin group. Your mother is just a maid. You will forever only submit under Miss Cece's feet. If I had known you were such a person, I would have strangled you at birth. I heard Li Xiufang use the word submit when speaking to Xin Jinjin. If my daughter hadn't been swapped back, would she have been forever beaten and scolded by Li Xiufang, told she could never compare to Xin Jinjin? Xin Jinjin, seeing the crowd gathered to watch the spectacle, could only close her eyes and faint. When Xin Jinjin opened her eyes again and looked around, she found herself in the school clinic, with Li Xiufang, still visibly angry, and her homeroom teacher sitting beside her. Seeing that Xin Jinjin had woken up, Li Xiufang immediately tried to hit her again without a word, but was stopped by the homeroom teacher. The homeroom teacher urged Li Xiufang to calm down, suggesting that any issues should be resolved through discussion rather than hitting the child, while also shielding Xin Jinjin to prevent Li Xiufang from striking her again. Faced with the teacher's intervention, Li Xiufang had no choice but to explain the whole story. Upon hearing the explanation, the homeroom teacher, who had initially been protecting Xin Jinjin, was unsure whether to continue doing so. However, as a teacher, her sense of responsibility reminded her to still fulfill her duty. Xin Jinjin watched as Li Xiufang's palm seemed ready to strike. Trembling with fear, she could only hide under the blanket, not daring to show her head. After this incident, Xin Jinjin became a laughingstock in the class. Those who used to fawn over her no longer did, and more often than not, they would kick her while she was down. The classmates gave Xin Jinjin a nickname, calling her Miss Jia. People, after all, are selfish. As long as it doesn't involve themselves, you can do whatever you want, but once it touches their bottom line, even if they don't die, they'll lose a layer of skin. After this incident, Xin Jinjin seemed to have learned her lesson and became much more subdued. These days, I always see Li Xiufang sneaking off to the back garden, where she stays for half an hour. After checking the surveillance footage, I discovered that the person constantly conversing with Li Xiufang in the back garden was her gambling addict husband, Jia Lao-san. It was him. He bore half the responsibility for the suffering she endured in her previous life. From a young age, he made Shishi do housework. Whenever he lost money gambling and felt unhappy, he would beat and kick Shishi. Initially, he demanded an exorbitant price to allow me to take Shishi back, and I was forced to pay 1,000,000 yuan to finally bring Shishi home. I listened to their conversation in the surveillance footage with a blank expression. Li Xiufang spoke fearfully. Jiao Lao-san, how did you find this place? Jiao Lao-san grabbed Li Xiufang's hair. I haven't even asked you, you've been hiding here. enjoying the good life with my child, while I suffer alone in the countryside. Jiao Lao San, I heard you swapped my daughter with the daughter of the Shen family. Aren't you afraid I'll find my daughter and tell her the truth? Li Xiufang screamed in terror. Jiao Lao San, what exactly do you want? Let me tell you, those with nothing to lose fear nothing, at worst, will die together. Jiao Lao San grabbed Li Xiufang's hair with one hand and gently patted her face with the other. I'm a bit short on cash lately. You've been living the high life in the Shen family, eating well and drinking well, so you must have saved up quite a bit, 500,000. Not a penny less. I'll be waiting for you here tomorrow. If you don't show up, I'll have no choice but to go ask my biological daughter for it. Li Xiufang knew what kind of villain Jiao Lao San was. To prevent him from really leaking the news, she had no choice but to grit her teeth and agree to give him 500,000. I heard the conversation between Li Xiufang and Jiao Lao San in the surveillance footage. To prevent Jiao Lao San from harassing Cici, I had no choice but to have Shen Qi temporarily send Cici abroad to participate in an event. Li Xiufang, who had been blackmailed by Jiao Lao San, was in a bad mood and could only vent her emotions on Shen Jinjin. You useless girl, you can't even handle such simple tasks. What good are you? You might as well be dead, just as annoying as your father. Seeing that Li Xiufang was about to hit Shen Jinjin again, I stepped in to stop her. Aunt Li, don't hit her anymore. She hasn't done anything wrong, don't take your bad mood out on others. By the way, in a few days I plan to take Cici on a trip, so you can have a break. On the day of the supposed trip, I didn't actually go. Instead, I took my luggage and checked into a hotel, where I watched the surveillance feed from home in my room. Sure enough, a gambler's word is not to be trusted. Li Xiufang had just returned from grocery shopping when she spotted Jiao Lao San loitering at the door. She immediately pulled him inside, glanced around to make sure no one had noticed, and only relaxed after confirming there was no one nearby before closing the door. Seeing Li Xiufang, Jiao Lao San smiled and said, I came to see how you and our daughter are doing. Li Xiufang looked at Jiao Lao San with disdain. What are you here for? Did you gamble away all the money? Jiao Lao San scratched his head. Fang, I was so close to turning it around. Just give me a little more money, and I'll pay you back as soon as I win. Li Xiufang threw the vegetables in her hand at Jiao Lao San's face, crying and shouting, Jiao Lao San, you bastard, that was money I saved for years, and you lost it all in just a few days. Just at that moment, Shen Jinjin came out of the room wearing a beautiful dress. Jiao Lao San saw Shen Jinjin come out, let go of Li Xiufang who was still play fighting, and walked forward. You must be Cici, no wonder you're the daughter of the Shen family, you're so beautiful, just like a copy of Mrs. Shen. Li Xiufang, hearing Jiao Lao San say this, anxiously explained, Jiao Lao San, what nonsense are you talking? That's Jia Jinjin, your child, don't you recognize her? Shen Jinjin, who had been happily heading out, couldn't help but feel suspicious after hearing Jiao Lao San's words. She had always felt since childhood that she didn't look like Li Xiufang. Every time Li Xiufang looked at Shen Lingxi, her eyes were full of motherly love, but when it came to her, it was all scolding and beating. When Jiao Lao San heard Li Xiufang's voice, the obsequious expression he had for Shen Jinjin immediately disappeared. He turned around, sat on the sofa with his legs crossed, and said to Shen Jinjin, who was still lost in thought, your father's here, don't you know how to greet him? Hurry up and get me some fruit to eat. Seeing Li Xiufang's expression, Shen Jinjin could only obediently go to fetch some fruit. As Jiao Lao San surveyed the room's decor while eating the fruit, he said to Li Xiufang, give me some more money, and I'll pay you back as soon as I win it all back. The Shen family is rich and powerful, losing a little won't be noticed. Tell you what, hurry up, or you know how the wealthy deal with finding out their nanny has swapped their daughter. Li Xiufang was so frightened that she sat down on the sofa nearby and could only hurriedly agree, asking Jiao Lao San to give her a few more days. The conversation between the two in the surveillance footage was heard clearly by me and Shen Jinjin, who was hiding in the kitchen. At this moment, Shen Jinjin, upon hearing the phrase, swap daughters, in the conversation between Jiao Lao San and Li Xiufang, whispered, steal and swap daughters. I had just returned home with Cici when Li Xiufang saw me and began discussing her resignation with me. She said she was getting old and wanted to take Shen Jinjin back to her hometown. I pretended to persuade her to stay, asking her to wait, since she had worked at the Shen family for so long, and I was even planning to give her a raise. I asked, is something wrong? I can help you. Li Xiufang evaded the question, saying she could only stay until the end of this week at most. At the dining table, seeing Li Xiufang's reluctance to part with Cici, I spoke up, something happened next door with Mrs. Chen, the daughter she had doted on for over a decade turned out to be a swapped child. The nanny wanted her own daughter to enjoy a life of wealth, so she switched Mrs. Chen's daughter and didn't treat the child well. The child's life was truly pitiful. When Mrs. Chen found out, she was furious and vowed not to let the nanny off the hook. Auntie Li, isn't such a nanny hateful? Hearing me say this, Li Xiufang, who was originally serving dishes, was so startled that her hands loosened, and the dish clattered to the ground. With a gaze full of hatred, I looked at Li Xiufang picking up the broken plates on the floor and said, Auntie Li, you're too careless, aren't you? You really need to be more careful. In the morning, Li Xiufang pulled Shen Jinjin to bid me farewell. I glanced at the luggage behind them and said, since you want to leave, then go ahead. Shen Jinjin knelt down with a thud and said, Mrs. Shen, I don't want to leave, I can't bear to go. I quickly helped Shen Jinjin up and said, Jinjin, I've watched you grow up too, listen to your mother when you go back, and make sure to study hard over there. Li Xiufang forcefully dragged Shen Jinjin away. As soon as they left, I immediately sent a private detective to follow them, instructing him to call the police at the first sign of trouble. Who knows what a gambler might do for money? On the train, Li Xiufang scolded Shen Jinjin, you stupid girl, this is your fate. Let me tell you, once you return to your hometown, you'll never get out of there for the rest of your life. After getting off the train, Li Xiufang directly dragged Shen Jinjin back to their hometown, pushing open the door of their old house. They saw Jiao Lao-san, drunk, sleeping on a chair in the courtyard. Li Xiufang immediately splashed the tea from the table onto Jiao Lao-san's face. Feeling the wetness, Jiao Lao-san woke up abruptly, ready to curse. Which brat spoiled your grandpa's good dream? Only when he saw Li Xiufang and Shen Jinjin standing in the courtyard did he ask, why have you come back? Did you bring the things? Li Xiufang tossed the bag directly to Jiao Lao-san without a good mood, and Jiao Lao-san, looking at the contents of the bag, calculated how much he could multiply his gains. He went straight to the casino with the bag. Inside the casino, people saw Jiao Lao-san carrying a bag and said, what's up, Jiao Lao-san? Got money to turn things around, don't end up walking out naked. Jiao Lao-san patted the bag in his hand. I've got plenty of things to turn my luck around, and today I'll show you all what it really means to turn things around. The people in the casino saw what was in Jiao Lao-san's bag, exchanged glances, and started gambling with him. By the end of the night, Jiao Lao-san had lost everything and even owed several million more. The people in the casino threw Jiao Lao-san out, saying they would come to his house to collect the money later. Jiao Lao-san stumbled and crawled his way back home. Li Xiufang saw Jiao Lao-san slinking back and asked, where's the money? Jiao Lao-san remained silent. Li Xiufang pressed, you didn't lose it all, did you? That was worth 5 million. Jiao Lao-san knelt down and hugged Li Xiufang's legs. I'm sorry. They set me up. Not only did I lose everything, but I also ended up owing several million. Upon hearing this, Li Xiufang felt like fainting. She pounded on Jiao Lao-san and scolded him, you keep losing again and again. Just at this moment, Jiao Lao-san got up and whispered such an idea into Li Xiufang's ear. Li Xiufang quickly stopped Jiao Lao-san. Selling a child is illegal, Jiao Lao-san said. That's not our real child. Our child is being pampered like a pearl in the Shen family. Even if we sell this one, if you don't say it and I don't say it, who would know? They completely ignored Shen Jinjin in the room. From the previous conversation between Li Xiufang and Jiao Lao-san and their current plotting, Shen Jinjin pieced together that she was indeed not Li Xiufang's daughter. I actually am the daughter of the Shen group, and Shen Jinjin remembered the beatings and scoldings from Li Xiufang since childhood. No wonder Li Xiufang always said I would never be worthy of being the daughter of the Shen family, only to be subdued by her. Shen Jinjin also recalled the humiliation she endured at school. It was those people who came to fawn over me, but in the end, they collectively bullied me, giving me nicknames. When I return to the Shen family, none of you will get away with it. Li Xiufang prepared a table full of delicious dishes, then pulled Shen Jinjin to the table and made her sit down. Continuously filling her bowl with food, she said while picking up food, Jinjin, it was my fault before. We're from the village, not like city folks. It's not good to make mistakes at work. Jinjin, eat quickly. I'll change from now on. You go to school, I'll go to work, and your dad will find a security job outside. We'll support your education together. Shen Jinjin looked at the two people trying to curry favor and didn't touch the food in front of her. She said, I'm actually not your child, right? My mother is Mrs. Shen, right? We don't look alike at all. You both have single eyelids, while I have double eyelids. and I resemble Mrs. Shen. Every time, you show maternal love to Shen Lingxi, but you hit and scold me." When Li Xiufang heard Shen Jinjin say, "It's not your child," these 6 words made her feel as if facing a formidable enemy. "How is that possible? You are my own flesh and blood," Shen Jinjin said. "I don't believe it. Let's go for a paternity test." As she spoke, she tried to drag Li Xiufang out, but was knocked unconscious by a glass bottle wielded by Jiao Laosan, who was standing behind Shen Jinjin. Jiao Laosan tied Shen Jinjin up with a rope and said, "Test, test what? I'll let you test." He took out his phone again and made a call to the person on the other end, saying, "The goods are ready, you can come and pick them up." The private detective hiding in the shadows sensed that things were not looking good, so he quickly called the police. After the police arrived, they rounded up the human trafficking gang and rescued Shen Jinjin and other abducted individuals. I had just received a message from the private detective when I soon after got a call from the police, saying that my daughter Shen Jinjin had been abducted and needed me to come and identify her. I refused directly. "I'm sorry, I only have one daughter, Shen Lingxi, and she is currently sitting right next to me. Did you perhaps make a mistake?" The police heard me say this and quickly checked my information. Seeing that the details matched what I had said, they glanced at Shen Jinjin, who was sitting in the corner looking distraught, and sighed. "We just called and asked, and they said they haven't lost a daughter." Just a few minutes later, the police called again. "Actually, do you know Li Xiufang, there's a theft case here that requires your cooperation." After thinking for a moment, I replied, "I'll get there as soon as possible." When Shen Qi and I arrived at the police station, I saw Shen Jinjin sitting in the corner. She saw me too and rushed over crying, hugging me. "Mom, I'm your real daughter, I'm the true heiress of the Shen group. It was Li Xiufang who swapped me and Shen Lingxi. Mom, I am your real daughter. Mom, look at me." I pried Shen Jinjin's hands off me. "Jinjin, I know you've been frightened, but you can't fail to recognize your own mother. Just sit quietly and wait for the police to help you sort this out." I followed the police into the interrogation room and saw Li Xiufang, her hands cuffed. Li Xiufang begged for mercy as soon as she saw me come in. "Madam, I know you are the kindest-hearted person, you do good deeds and will be rewarded. Please help me, and since you are so wealthy and have so many pieces of jewelry, losing one won't make any difference to you." I spoke calmly. "Auntie Li, what's wrong? What have you done?" I looked at the police and asked if I could speak to Li Xiufang alone for a moment. After getting the police's permission, I smiled at Li Xiufang. "How dare you ask me to plead for you, Li Xiufang? You really are stupid, aren't you? You don't know the value of things. You left the gemstone beside you and only took the gold. You're really wasting the trap I designed for you." Li Xiufang looked at me in disbelief as I said this, then she smiled and spoke again. "You think you're smart, don't you? If you're so smart, do you know that your daughter isn't your biological child? I'll tell you this, you'll never find out where your daughter is in this lifetime. Beg me, and I might tell you." I spoke to Li Xiufang very calmly. "You want to see me beg, don't you? I'm sorry to disappoint you, Li Xiufang. How does it feel to sell off your own biological daughter? And what does it feel like to abuse your own biological daughter for 10 years while showering another woman's daughter with maternal love?" My few words left Li Xiufang, who had been mocking me, utterly astonished. Then I took out the paternity test report between Shen Lingxi and myself from my bag and threw it in front of Li Xiufang. "You can read, right? I don't need to read it out for you, do I?" When Li Xiufang saw the last line of the test report, "DNA similarity between Shen Lingxi and Yi Yu is 99.97%, her initially stunned expression turned to tears as the evidence sank in. I looked at Li Xiufang with a mocking gaze. "Still thinking of playing the cuckoo bird and having someone else raise your child, Li Xiufang? If you really swapped my daughter, Jia Jinjin's fate would have been my daughter's. Do you think I'd let you off? Enjoy your time in prison." I stood up to leave but turned back to say one more thing to the stunned Li Xiufang. "Oh, and for selling a child and theft, I'll have the Shen Group's lawyers push for the maximum sentence. You'd better prepare to spend the rest of your life behind bars." I turned around to leave, and behind me came the sound of Li Xiufang's loud wails. I couldn't tell if she was crying out of pain from knowing the truth or out of sorrow for spending her life in prison, but none of it had anything to do with me. When I came out of the police station, I directly pulled Shen Qi away without noticing Shen Jinjin chasing after us. Shen Qi, seeing the smile on my face, asked, "Has the matter been resolved? Why are you so happy?" I smiled. "It's resolved. I can finally put that weight off my mind. Now, only Shen Jinjin remains. As long as she stays quietly in her rightful place, everything will be peaceful." But I still underestimated Shen Jinjin. I saw her again at Cece's birthday party, where she came to claim her family ties. Everyone, who had been waiting for the waiter to bring the birthday cake, was caught off guard by Shinjinjin dressed in a server's uniform. Shinjinjin held up the birthday cake and said to Cece, "Shinlingsi, happy birthday. This will be the last birthday you enjoy in the Shin family. Shinlingsi, do you know, you are not the true daughter of the Shin family. I am the real child of the Shin family. I suffered for over a decade in your place, so why should you enjoy a life of luxury in the Shin family? Shinlingsi, look at me, every scar on my body was inflicted by your biological mother. Why should I be your on-call follower? Why did you get to enjoy a happy childhood while I had to learn to work from a young age? Do you know that people at school gave me the nickname, fake heiress? It wasn't my fault. They were the ones who fawned over me without investigating properly, only to end up bullying me. Shinlingsi, why did I have to suffer in your place while you got to live the happy life that should have been mine? I watched Shinjinjin, who was furious, and quietly pulled Cece behind me. Jinjin, I know you can't accept the mistakes your parents made, but you should clearly understand who your real parents are. When Shinjinjin saw me, tears streamed down her eyes, and she was about to step forward to hug me. Mom, I'm your daughter. How can you not recognize me? I finally made it to this place to see you. I'm your biological child. Li Xiufang swapped us. I heard Li Xiufang and their conversation with my own ears. Not only did they switch me, but they also almost sold me to someone else. Seeing that I was tightly protecting Cece, Shinjinjin pointed at me angrily. Mom, is it because Shinluanqi is better than me that you don't recognize me? I will study hard. I will become excellent. Look, Mom, look at me. I'm your real daughter. The guests invited to Cece's birthday party were mostly classmates and business partners. To prevent Shinjinjin from doing something inappropriate, I had to calm Shinjinjin down while instructing the security guards to escort her out. Soon, the security guards received my message and dragged Shinjinjin out from behind. As she was being dragged out, Shinjinjin shouted, "Let me go. I am the real young lady. Why are you treating me like this?" Thrown out of the door, Shinjinjin's emotions reached a breaking point. She shouted at the entrance of the Shin family's house, "If you are not merciful, don't blame me for being unjust." The next day, many media outlets reported on topics such as, the Shin family disowns their biological daughter, treating the fake heiress like a treasure, and, the Shin family abandons their biological daughter, why protect the adopted daughter? These topics quickly trended on social media. There were also some live broadcasts by Shinjinjin. In her live streams, she tearfully recounted how she was abused by Li Xiufang since childhood and almost sold off by Li Xiufang. Finally, after finding her biological mother, her mother refused to acknowledge her. More and more people on the internet were drawn to Shinjinjin. For a time, people online were sympathizing with Shinjinjin's plight and continuously urging me to acknowledge Shinjinjin and bring her back to the Shin family. On the website of the Shin group, I was worried that the online comments would affect Shishi, but I found that Shishi was hardly affected at all. She continued with her daily routine, doing whatever she needed to do. I asked Cece, "Cece, don't pay attention to things online. You will always be my daughter, and I, you, will only ever be your mother." Cece hugged me, looking at me with determined eyes. "Mom, do whatever you need to do. Dad and I will always support you." Shinchi asked me if I needed to handle it now. I shook my head. No need. Let her jump around a bit more first. A grasshopper in late autumn can't jump for long. Soon, a program about family invited both Shinjinjin and me to participate. I sat on the sofa on stage, with the host and Shinjinjin seated opposite me. The host asked, "Ms. Yi, I wonder if you've seen Jinjin's live stream?" I nodded and replied, "I have, but it doesn't seem to have anything to do with me." The host, "So since you've seen it, what are your thoughts? You don't even recognize your own biological daughter. You're a woman, you've given birth, don't you know the pain of being separated from your flesh and blood? Shouldn't you, upon learning that your own child has suffered so much, hold her and cry, saying, 'My child, you've suffered, why would you drive your child away?' Is this something a biological mother would do?" I looked at the host in disbelief. "I'm sorry, but could you please get your facts straight before questioning others during your hosting? First of all, I have never claimed to be Jia Jinjin's mother. Secondly, Jia Jinjin's suffering is not caused by me, but by her real mother. Finally, I have already reported this to the police. Regarding whether she is my daughter, I believe the police will provide an explanation to both us and the public. If Jia Jinjin is not my daughter, then I will hold your TV station accountable." I'm sure you've heard that the lawyers of the Shin group don't just sit around doing nothing. Within a few minutes, The police took blood samples from me and Shinjinjin to conduct a paternity test. The matter of the Shin group and Shinjinjin has become widely known online, with some standing up for Shinjinjin and voicing their support, while others side with the Shin group. For a time, all sorts of opinions were circulating. During those days waiting for the test results, Shinjinjin continued to cry about her situation in the live stream, and netizens still comforted her. "We believe in you, don't worry, we will always support you." The Shin group should quickly replace her with their real heiress. 3 days quickly passed, and the program crew called Shinjinjin and me back again. During the live broadcast, the host said, "Now, in my hand is the paternity test provided by the police for MS, Yi and Jiajinjin. So, are they truly biological mother and daughter? Let's witness this together." As the host opened the letter, the hearts of the online viewers raced. The host flipped to the last page of the document. The DNA of MS, Yi and Jiajinjin does not match. Upon hearing this news, both Shinjinjin and the online viewers were stunned. Shinjinjin fainted on the spot. When Shinjinjin opened her eyes again, her expression changed from one of shock to one of joy. Upon seeing me, she immediately got up from the sofa and cried, "Mom, you're still alive." Hearing Shinjinjin's words, I knew she might have also returned from that world. After all, I had been reborn myself. I spoke in an unfamiliar tone. "Jiajinjin, I am not your mother. I think I have been good enough to you. Please stop being unreasonable." After saying that, I prepared to leave the place. Shinjinjin stopped me. "Mom, I'm Jinjin, your most beloved Jinjin. How could you not be my mom?" I pushed Shinjinjin away. "Enough, have you forgotten the paternity test results from earlier?" I threw the paternity test results I had taken from the host into Shinjinjin's arms. "See clearly, I am not your mother." Shinjinjin flipped through the results of the paternity test. So angry that she tore it to shreds, she cried out, "Mom, I was wrong. Are you blaming me? I'll kowtow to you. Mom, please don't abandon me. I was wrong. Please forgive me." I completely ignored Shinjinjin and prepared to return to the Shin family. Shinjinjin watched my retreating figure. "I am the true daughter of the Shin family, the treasure my mother loves most. I am the real heiress." Shinjinjin completely lost her mind, throwing a tantrum and rolling on the floor in front of the production crew. The crew had no choice but to send her to the hospital. In the hospital, Shinjinjin hugged a doll and kept repeating, "I am Shinjinjin, I am Shinjinjin, I am the daughter of the Shin family, I am the treasure my mother loves." When I heard news about Shinjinjin, I felt no emotion at all. From now on, she has nothing to do with me. Sitting on the sofa, I watched my daughter playing the piano and Shinchi cooking in the kitchen, thinking how wonderful this life is. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I am the one who shields the Wang family's daughter, Wang Sisi, from misfortune. In my previous life, Wang Sisi claimed she wanted to become sworn sisters with me, but instead, she took the blood from my palm and stole the fate that was rightfully mine. In the end, I met a tragic fate, dying on the streets. In this life, she once again took my hand and said to me in a pretentious manner, "Sister Qianqian, I've always felt a connection with you. Why don't we become sworn sisters?" Sure, I agreed with a smile, but secretly swapped my blood with that of a beggar under the overpass. "My dear sister, I hope every day from now on, you live as happily as that fool." "Mom, how much longer do I have to endure that little wretch?" Opening my eyes, I suddenly heard Wang Sisi's voice. "Soon, just one more month until it's time." The speaker then changed to Wang Sisi's mother, Shu Yufan. I moved my stiff fingers, my consciousness still not fully clear, as if my soul had separated from my body. "What's going on? Didn't I just die? How can I still hear their voices?" Before I could think further, Wang Sisi continued, "Mom, you don't know, Wang Qianqian is always flaunting that seductive face of hers, flirting with men all over our school. I really wish I could skin her alive. Every day I have to pretend to be close sisters with her, and it's making me sick to my stomach." Shu Yufan sighed deeply. "How could your mother not feel the same way? If it weren't for Tian Yu Daoist saying that her fate was exceptionally good and that she was perfectly matched with you in terms of yin and yang, why would your mother have adopted her?" But Tian Yu Daoist was right. Over the years, she has shielded you from many disasters. Even your father, thanks to her luck, managed to get elected as a council member. "My dear daughter, just endure a little longer. A month will pass quickly." Wang Sisi still felt impatient. "Can't we just lock her up and directly exchange our fate on the appointed day?" Shu Yufan shook her head. "No, Tian Yu Daoist said that only the blood from her palm that she willingly gives will have greater power and a higher success rate. Moreover, the election is imminent, and we still need her to help your father secure the position of speaker. Wang Sisi resignedly accepted her fate. Alright, but it would be great if we could swap her face. Along with the fate, Xu Yufan comforted her, if we can't swap it, we'll just destroy it. When the time comes, Mom will help you scratch her face to pieces. Listening to their conversation, I let out a cold laugh, my consciousness becoming increasingly clear. I guess I must have been reborn a month before Wang Sisi and I swapped our destinies. I was an orphan at the age of 12, I was adopted by a couple of noble bearing, and from then on, I lived a life of comfort and security. This family treated me very well. The female owner, Xu Yufan, would treat me like a mother, combing my hair and trimming my nails for me. The male owner, Wang Zhizhong, was especially concerned about my studies and my physical health. Their daughter, Wang Sisi, was born just one day apart from me. We are like real sisters, playing together and growing up together. It's just that this family has a bit of a belief in gods. When Wang Sisi fell ill, we went to worship, and the next day her illness was cured. When Wang Sisi took the exam, we also went to worship, and the once struggling student surprisingly got into a key provincial school. All I can say is that their deity is truly efficacious. The only downside is that every time I worship it, I feel restless for several days. On my 20th birthday, Wang Sisi suddenly proposed that we become sworn sisters. Although the Wang family never mentioned my adoption to outsiders, I always addressed them as Aunt Xu and Uncle Wang in private. After the ceremony, I could officially start calling them Mom and Dad. I was so moved that I immediately agreed. However, the ritual was a bit strange, as it required taking a drop of blood from our palms. Although I was puzzled, I didn't pay much attention to it, but just as our blood mingled, my consciousness began to fade. I saw Xu Yufan and Wang Zhong, who had previously been kind and gentle, suddenly become terrifyingly fierce. They kicked me to the ground, viciously saying, "Ugh, finally, no need to pretend anymore, it's been disgusting for 8 years. Wang Sisi then took out a dagger and slashed it across my face. "You little slut, do you know how long I've been waiting for this day? Now your fate is finally mine." I suddenly understood, this is not a ceremony of brotherhood at all, but some kind of evil sorcery. They brought me back for a purpose. All the kindness and gentleness were just an illusion. This is nothing but a complete scam. I'm filled with regret, yet utterly powerless to fight back. After tormenting me for over 10 minutes, Wang Sisi put away her knife and snatched the jade pendant from my chest. "If I can't have your face, I'll settle for playing with this worthless trinket." Xu Yufan and Wang Zhizhong covered their noses and mouths with disdain. "Filthy things, it's so inauspicious, just throw her out quickly." And so, I was thrown under the overpass, where I died a miserable death on the streets just a few days later due to my severe injuries. Coming to my senses, I touched the jade pendant around my neck and began to plot silently. There's still a month left, I should have enough time. I and Wang Sisi are freshmen this year. A few days ago, I was crowned the most beautiful girl at Jiang University because of a photo. In that photo, it wasn't just me, Wang Sisi was there too. It must be said that with her ordinary, almost plain face as a contrast, I appeared even more ethereal and extraordinary. I became quite famous on campus, and there were often crowds of boys at my classroom door just to see me. Even the school heartthrob, Wang Yixuan, had a crush on me. As soon as we arrived at the school gate today, Wang Sisi and I were stopped by Huang Yixuan. "Qianqian, have you thought about that matter yet?" He was referring to the public confession to me. I looked at Wang Sisi's expression, seeing her pitifully and expectantly looking at me, as if waiting for me to refuse. I know that Wang Sisi likes Huang Yixuan. In my previous life, because of her, I rejected Huang Yixuan's pursuit without hesitation. This time around, I suddenly feel like doing something different. "Sisi, can I agree to him?" I turned my head to seriously ask Wang Sisi's opinion. Wang Sisi's mouth twitched slightly. We stared at each other for a full 10 seconds before she managed a forced smile. "Of course, sister, no matter what decision you make, Sisi will support you." "Thank you, Sisi," I said with teary eyes, then turned to Huang Yixuan and said, "Since my sister supports it, I'll agree to it." Really, Huang Yixuan was so happy that he didn't know what to do with his hands and feet. "Thank you, Qianqian," I deliberately spoke in a teasing tone. "Why thank me? Thank my sister. If she didn't agree, I wouldn't be with you, you know." Huang Yixuan played along and immediately bowed 90 degrees to Wang Sisi. "Thank you for your blessing, Sisi. You're welcome, Yixuan Ji." Wang Sisi's face remained expressionless. But inside she felt like she'd eaten dog shit. I bet right now she wishes she could bite me to death on the spot. I continued to disgust her. Cece, why are you still calling him Ishwan Ge? You should call him brother-in-law now. Hee, right. Wang Cece forced out a few awkward laughs and called out, bro, they're-in-law, these two words. Wang Cece practically squeezed out through gritted teeth. I noticed the prominent veins on her temple and the tightly clenched fists hidden behind her skirt. The fish is finally about to take the bait. In the afternoon, I walked alone on the campus path. Feeling that everyone's gaze at me seemed a bit different. The next day, I found out that someone had exposed the fact that I wasn't the real daughter of the Wang family on a forum. No need to guess. It must have been Wang Cece. I didn't bother to defend myself and let it continue to escalate. A few days later, the situation grew even more intense. There are posts claiming that I forced the Wang family to adopt me by threatening to take my own life. Other posts allege that after entering the Wang family, instead of being grateful, I became increasingly arrogant and tyrannical. Even more outrageous claims say that I not only frequently beat the Wang family's servants but also harmed any small animals that happened to pass by the house. Once, a lovely little kitten fell victim to my cruelty, being hung up and tortured for 3 days and 3 nights. Of course, these accusations also included me bullying the true heiress, Wang Cece. Soon, my reputation plummeted. I went from being the white moonlight of all the male students to becoming the vicious and manipulative bitch everyone condemned. Some of the female students at the school already harbored jealousy and resentment towards me, and now that they had caught me, they were even more determined to humiliate me. Among them, the 6 princesses led by Li Si Rui held particularly strong animosity towards me. What a noble lady, she's just a piece of trash, pretending to be a rich and beautiful woman, shameless parasite, staying at the Wang family all these years, and bullying our Cece. She really has the nerve. No wonder she doesn't look like Cece, she's just a little trash picked up from somewhere. Poor guys at our school, they've all been fooled by her. Just before school ended, even Huang Yishuan came to find me. He immediately asked me if what was on the forum was true. I replied impatiently, if you think it is, then it is. Wang Qianqian, what kind of attitude is that? Huang Yishuan widened his eyes, as if I had done something to wrong him. Don't you have anything to explain to me? I laughed. Why should I explain anything to you? I didn't cheat on you while we were dating. He stared at me for a long time, his eyes filled with deep disdain. I never expected you to be like this. I truly misjudged you. Let's break up. We're just not compatible. I didn't mince words in exposing him. What do you mean by compatible or not? You just think I'm no longer useful to you, don't you? I knew from the very beginning that Huang Yishuan pursued me only because of my identity as the daughter of the Wang family. Cece Wang's father is a council member, and his words carry weight throughout the entire Jinghai region. Moreover, his high chances of winning this election make him a strong candidate for the next speaker. Huang Yishuan's family has been in business for 3 generations, and to expand and strengthen, they need political support. Therefore, I was merely a stepping stone he chose, but it doesn't matter, as he is just a part of my plan. After brewing for a long time, returning to the Wang family, I held on to Shifan's leg and wailed loudly. After clarifying the cause of the matter, Shifan glared viciously at Wang Cece. Don't worry, Qianqian, Aunt Shu will stand up for you in this matter. My tears still couldn't stop falling, and I could barely speak clearly. Aunt Shu, you don't know how harshly they scolded me. Even my new boyfriend broke up with me. Wang Cece twirled her hair, looking so smug she could almost start swaying. Shu Yufan gently patted my back while giving Wang Cece a knowing look. Only then did Wang Cece squat down beside me. Sister, whether you believe it or not, I didn't do this. I wiped the tears from my face and said seriously, I know, you've always been defending me on the forum, but they're right too. I was never really a daughter of the Wang family. If it weren't for Aunt Shu and Uncle Wang taking pity on me, I might have been starving and freezing somewhere. I sobbed and choked up, then continued, besides, I've been searching for my biological family online these past few days, and it seems I've accidentally found my real father. Shu Yufan instinctively asked me, who is it? I shook my head. I'm not sure yet, but I know he lives in Zhongjiang. It seems he's paralyzed, so I want to go back and take care of him for a while. Oh, Zhongjiang. A flicker of delight flashed in Shu Yufan's eyes, and then she pretended to be concerned as she asked me, found online, can it be reliable? I nodded and took out the badge from my chest. He recognizes this jade badge of mine. Once we meet, he'll definitely want to do a paternity test. Shu Yufan sighed deeply. Qianqian, both emotionally and logically, we shouldn't stop you from doing this, but Aunt Shu doesn't want you to suffer, and I can't bear to see you go." I obediently lay across her lap. "Aunt Shu, Uncle Wang, you've raised me, and I will never forget the nurturing kindness you've shown me. If it weren't for these recent events, I wouldn't have even considered searching for my biological family. You can rest assured, this will always be my home, and I will visit you often." Shu Yufan pretended to be reluctant as she hugged me tightly. "All right, if you encounter any difficulties, just let me know, and Shu will do whatever she can to help." And so, using this as an excuse, I smoothly left the Wang household. After I left, Wang Cici immediately complained to Shu Yufan. "Mom, how could you just let her go like that? She'll be back." Shu Yufan said firmly, "There's a saying, it's easy to go from frugality to luxury, but hard to go from luxury to frugality. Only by experiencing poverty firsthand will she truly appreciate the benefits of wealth. Let her stay in Zhongjiang for a few days and see, when the time comes, if you propose sworn sisterhood again, she'll be even more eager." Oh, Wang Cici actually agreed with this reasoning. "But Dad's election is coming up soon. How can we perform the ritual if she leaves now? Do you think Mom didn't prepare?" Shu Yufan took out hair and nails stored in the shrine. "They were all recently cut from me. These are enough for the ritual." On the road 2 streets away from the Wangs, I removed the wig from my head and the fake finger covers from my hands, tossing them into a roadside trash can. With this, the first step of my plan was officially accomplished. Next, I just need to wait for the right moment, and the second step will soon be realized. As I basked in the small victory before me, a row of black Rolls-Royces suddenly drove towards me. The leading car just stopped right in front of me. A dozen or so men in black suits and sunglasses got out of the car. They faced me, bowed respectfully, their voices echoing loudly, "Welcome home, young lady." I looked completely confused. "Did you guys make a mistake? Did you get the wrong person?" "No mistake," the 2 rows of black-clad men responded in unison, and it felt like the surrounding buildings were about to collapse from the sound. Just now, when I told Shu Yufan that I found my biological father, it wasn't a lie. A few days ago, I used big data online to search for my biological parents. In my previous life, I never knew who they were until my death. In this life, I want to make up for this regret first, although my operation is like finding a needle in a haystack. But guess what? I actually found that needle. I discovered a post in a local forum for finding relatives. The poster was a man in his 50s. He said that his daughter was abducted 18 years ago, and his wife, consumed by grief for their child, passed away not long after. As for him, his legs were crippled, and his health was deteriorating. The only thing keeping him going was the unwavering belief that he would find his daughter. Following that, he attached a hand-drawn picture below the text. The picture depicted a green jade pendant with a date and a faint character engraved in the center. It matches perfectly with the one I'm wearing around my neck. I casually sent him the jade pendant, and after a brief chat, I got his contact information. The address he sent me is indeed in Zhongjiang district. But what's going on with these black-clad men in front of me? I was inexplicably invited into a car by a group of people. Soon, we arrived at a manor on the outskirts of Shangyang district. Had never seen such a large manor, occupying an entire mountain. After getting off the car, a man in his 50s, seated in a wheelchair, greeted me at the door. When he saw me, his eyes welled up. "Qianqian." I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. "Golden hair who loves to dance." He coughed twice, awkwardly explaining, "Just an online nickname." I looked around at the luxurious surroundings and asked him, "So, you gave me a fake address that day?" He replied, "I wouldn't be foolish enough to reveal my identity before I'm certain you're my daughter." I laughed. "So now you're sure? Aren't you afraid I stole this badge?" He gave a sidelong glance, and a bodyguard immediately handed over a document. "There's no mistake, this is the paternity test report for both of us." Tisk, I have to say, the efficiency of wealthy people is truly impressive. I cautiously glanced through the report results a few times, but when my eyes landed on the 3 characters, Mu Wensheng, I was completely dumbfounded. "You are Mu Wensheng, the legendary top-tier chaebol Mu Wensheng." He chuckled lightly. "What, don't I look the part?" I couldn't help but swallow hard. No wonder, even his personal entourage was so grand. Just like that, I went from being a helpless lamb at others' mercy to becoming the young lady of a top-tier wealthy family in the blink of an eye. This was an unforeseen change in my plans, but it didn't affect the overall situation. On Monday morning, I swapped the family's Bentley grocery car for a Wuling Hongguang Mini on the road. Early in the morning, Wang Cici was already waiting for me at the door. When she saw me getting off the Wuling Hongguang, she almost couldn't hold back her laughter, but soon, she quickly adjusted her state and frowned with worry. Sister, why did you drive this car to school? I calmly said, this car is great, it's energy efficient, environmentally friendly, and easy to park. Wang Sisi pursed her lips, her expression growing even more pained. Sister, are you not doing well? If you want to return to the Wang family, you're always welcome. Thank you, but my father is a good man, although he's disabled in both legs, he doesn't need my care for now. As soon as I finished speaking, Li Sirui appeared behind me with her princess entourage. Sisi, why bother with someone like her? Just let her wallow in her own misery. After speaking, she glanced at the mini car behind me, her mouth almost reaching the sky. What is this piece of junk, picked up from the scrapyard overnight, and it's even a disgusting shade of yellow. But it suits her well, just a piece of trash after all, not fit for decent company. I crossed my arms, smiling instead of getting angry. So knowledgeable about waste sorting, could it be that you're a professional recycler? You, Li Sirui was so angry that her face turned red and her neck bulged, as she thought of the most vicious words to curse me. I just heard that your biological father is a cripple. Could it be that you've done so many evil deeds that it's all come back to haunt him? Or maybe your family's ancestors for 18 generations were all like you, heartless and vicious, which is why disaster struck and the retribution was swift. I narrowed my eyes, successfully provoked by her. I was just about to step forward and give her 2 big slaps when Wang Sisi timely stopped me. Sister Qianqian, let's go, don't pay attention to them. After saying that, she grabbed my arm and we ran off together. Only when we reached a secluded corner did Wang Sisi let go of me. Sister Qianqian, don't listen to their nonsense. I swallowed my anger forcefully and forced a laugh. I know, oh, there's something else I wanted to tell you. Wang Sisi turned her head and started stammering again. Yesterday afternoon, Yixuan Gij confessed to me, but don't worry, I won't accept him. Why not agree? I think you two are quite a good match, I said nonchalantly. Wang Sisi froze. You don't mind, after all, you two just broke up a few days ago. I smiled and patted her head. Of course I don't mind. Silly girl, I never liked him anyway. I only agreed back then because of you. Wang Sisi gave me a probing look before realizing she'd been insulted, her face flushing alternately red and pale. I spent a week under the scrutiny of all the teachers and students in the school. The election for the Speaker of the Assembly is imminent. That night, a major news story suddenly hit the trending searches, causing a huge uproar. The headline of the news was, # a certain Wang legislator set up a ritual at home, aiming to ascend to power through feudal superstition. The entire process of Wang Zhizhong's family conducting the ritual was recorded and widely circulated on various websites. Netizens immediately exploded with outrage, and a barrage of sharp criticisms followed. Wang Zhizhong's election votes plummeted as a result, and he was pacing anxiously at home. What exactly happened? Last night, I clearly dismissed all the servants, who could have filmed those videos. He doesn't seem to have noticed the pinhole camera I placed in the corner of the Buddhist shrine. I told you not to let that little bitch leave, you had to act on your own. Look, as soon as she left, problems started in our family. Wang Zhizhong turned around and started blaming Shuyifan again. Shuyifan wasn't one to be trifled with either. She sprang up from her chair and retorted without flinching. She found her own father. What could I do to stop her from leaving, at a critical time like this? What if she starts to suspect something? It's you who should be figuring out which opponent is deliberately targeting you. And you're blaming me, you. Wang Zhizhong was left speechless by her retort. Wang Sisi, frustrated, covered her head. Dad, Mom, please stop arguing. The most important thing now is to find a way to solve the problem. Wang Zhizhong sighed deeply. At this point, there's only one path left to take. Wang Sisi's eyes lit up as if she had heard a life-saving incantation. What path? Wang Zhizhong glanced back at her and said seriously, seeking the protection of a financial group. I heard that tomorrow night there will be an auction at the Crown Hotel, and all the major tycoons will be there. Even Mu Wensheng, who rarely appears, will attend. If we can gain the support of one of the big financial groups, there might be a chance for a turnaround. Hearing their conversation from behind the surveillance screen, I quietly curled my lips into a smile. My second step plan has already shown initial results. It seems it's time to implement the third step. The next afternoon, Wang Sisi was dressed up to the nines by Shu Yufan. Mom, I'm not going to a beauty pageant. Why do I have to dress like this? Wang Sisi said reluctantly. Who said it's not a beauty pageant? Shu Yufan kept dabbing powder on her face. Dress up nicely, in case Mu Wensheng takes a liking to you. Wang Sisi immediately showed disgust on her face. Isn't he paralyzed? Besides, he's already over 50. If I marry him, I'd be living like a widow. Xu Yufan gently poked her forehead, living like a widow. Sounds great. If you can outlive him, the entire Mu family's fortune will be yours. Besides, he's old and surely won't have the energy anymore. It won't stop you from keeping a few young lovers on the side. Wang Sisi, while the logic made sense, she still felt deeply uncomfortable thinking about it. Deep down, she knew that the most effective way to seek protection from the financial conglomerate was through seduction, but compared to those seasoned businessmen, she still preferred the young and handsome Huang Yishuan. At around 8:00 p.m., Wang Sisi arrived at the top floor of the Crown Hotel. Even though she was accustomed to scenes of carved railings and jade pavements, she was still stunned by the opulence before her. Wang Sisi was excitedly looking around, when Li Sirui, also dressed in a magnificent gown, walked over to her. Wang Sisi, why are you here? With the scandal that had erupted in the Wang family, Li Sirui no longer clung to her, her gaze filled with disdain. Wang Sisi glanced back at her a few times and said bluntly, aren't you here too? Li Sirui chuckled, me, can I be the same as you? My dad is a member of the Wanfeng Chamber of Commerce, and our family was invited. Wang Sisi also showed her invitation card. Isn't it just an invitation card? As if anyone doesn't have one. As the two of them looked at each other with mutual disdain, they inadvertently noticed another familiar figure. Sister Qianqian, why are you here? When Wang Sisi saw me, her eyes widened to the size of copper bells. Because tonight's event is a high-end auction, only the most prominent figures in Jinghai are allowed to attend. The invitation card that allowed her to come was bought by Wang Jinzhong for over 3 million, and she stared unblinkingly at the dress I was wearing. I'm wearing a galaxy-themed dress, adorned with countless tiny diamonds. The smooth lines accentuate my slender waist, making me look noble, elegant, and radiant. In comparison, her meticulously chosen gown paled significantly in front of me. Qianqian, what you're wearing is Chanel's global limited edition haute couture. Impossible. How could she possibly afford it? It must be stolen. Before I could say anything, Li Sijuan started shouting at the top of her lungs, where are the security guards? What are you even doing? How do you let just anyone in here? In no time, several security guards arrived. Upon seeing me, they immediately bowed respectfully. So it's Miss Mu. It was a misunderstanding. Please forgive us. I smiled in acknowledgement and did not make things difficult for them. Li Sirui looked at me in disbelief. Miss Mu, which Miss Mu are you? As soon as she finished speaking, the sound of a gavel finalizing the bid came from the auction stage. Congratulations to Mr. Mu for winning the third lot. Speaking of which, something truly joyous has recently happened at Mu Corporation. Mr. Mu has finally found his daughter, who had been separated from him for 18 years. This lot must surely be Mr. Mu's gift to Miss Mu. We've heard that Miss Mu is present tonight. I wonder if we might have the honor of catching a glimpse of her. I smiled slightly at the two of them and politely said, excuse me, but it seems the host is calling for me. Wang Sisi and Li Sirui stared at each other in shock, completely dumbfounded. I went up to the stage and briefly said a few words, which were met with thunderous applause. As soon as I stepped down, the crowd immediately surrounded me. Everyone chimed in with compliments, showering me with praise. I was forced to socialize with a circle of people, and when I returned to Wang Sisi and Li Sirui, the two of them still hadn't snapped out of it. Why aren't you saying anything? I looked at the two of them, their faces stiff, and my eyes gleamed with satisfaction. Qianqian sister, didn't you say your dad lives in Zhongjiang district? After regaining her composure, Wang Sisi's voice sounded like a machine. I smiled and replied, yes, he initially gave me a fake address. Isn't he quite mischievous? She wasn't willing to give up and asked again, the car you drove to school last week? I said, that one I swapped for on the side of the road. It really drives well. Should I buy one for you too? Wang Sisi pulled at the corner of her mouth, momentarily at a loss for words. Qianqian, Miss Mu, Li Sijua grinned, her eyes almost squinting into slits. In the past, I underestimated people with my dog's eyes and spoke too abruptly. Given that we were classmates, I hope you won't take offense. I gently swirled the red wine in my glass, smiling but not speaking. Li Sirui became even more nervous. Or, why don't you hit me to vent your anger? That's a good suggestion. All right, I responded and immediately handed the red wine glass in my hand to Wang Sisi next to me. Following that, I took a dozen steps back, sprinted, and with a flying kick, sent Li Sirui flying 5 meters away. Li Sirui crashed into the table, and the towering stack of wine glasses wobbled precariously before all of them came crashing down on her. The commotion here immediately attracted a crowd of onlookers. Li Siyu's father, Li Shiryan, also came running over upon hearing the noise. What's going on? Who did this? Who did it? It was me, I admitted without hesitation. It was Li Sirui herself who told me to do it. Don't believe me? Ask her. I pointed to Wang Sisi who was standing nearby. Wang Sisi shrank her neck, afraid that she would be implicated in the matter, and didn't dare to speak at all at that moment. My father was pushed over. Qianqian, what's going on? As soon as she saw my father, Wang Sisi suddenly gained courage. Mr. Mu, it was Li Sirui who told Qianqian to hit her. She said that you became paralyzed because Qianqian has done too many evil deeds, and that all 18 generations of the Mu family are heartless. You are getting what you deserve. Li Sirui's father gaped, sweat on his forehead trickling down the tip of his nose. This reckless little beast truly deserves a beating. Let me go up and give her a few more kicks. Li Shiryan, in front of everyone, proceeded to viciously kick Li Sirui for another 3 minutes, showing no mercy whatsoever. Only after finishing the kicking did he bow obsequiously and approach my father with an ingratiating smile. Children don't know how to weigh their words. Mr. Mu, please don't take offense. My father's expression darkened as he muttered sternly, if children don't know how to weigh their words, it's the adult's duty to discipline them properly. Li Shiryan nodded repeatedly. Absolutely, will discipline her. When I get back, I'll lock her in a dark room. Let her stay there for a year or two. No need for the dark room, my father said calmly, his tone brooking no argument. Just make her disappear. Li Shiryan's heart skipped a beat. Having navigated the business world for years, he was well aware of my father's ruthless methods. He knew what consequences he would face if he offended him. Though unwilling, Li Shiryan repeatedly responded, yes, yes, tonight our entire family will move away from Jinghai and guarantee we won't return. After the farce ended, the surrounding crowd gradually dispersed, and the auction resumed. Wang Sisi stole a few glances at me, her envy unmistakable. Sister Qianqian, actually, there's something I'd like to ask for your help with. Now that she knew I was Mu Wenqing's daughter, things would be much easier. She wouldn't have to sacrifice her charms to seduce other conglomerates anymore. I gave her a gentle smile and said, no need for formalities between us, just tell me what you need, I'll help however I can. Wang Sisi was overjoyed and immediately told me about Wang Jinzhong's situation. I pretended to be unaware. What? Such a thing actually happened? Don't worry, I'll go discuss countermeasures with Dad right away. I turned around and gestured toward a shadowy figure in the darkness. The next second, the large screen behind the auction stage suddenly lit up. Then, Wang Zhizhong suddenly appeared in the footage. The next 5 minutes were both thrilling and exhilarating. The footage contained evidence of Wang Zhizhong keeping mistresses and accepting bribes. It also showed the entire process of him buying votes with money. There are also his sinister crimes of beating civilians and oppressing the poor. Although the evidence I gathered through private investigators is limited, it's enough to be shocking. I stared wide-eyed at the screen, covering my mouth with one hand, utterly stunned. Sisi, did Uncle Wang offend someone? Those things on the screen can't be real, right? Wang Sisi pressed her lips together anxiously. Of course not, they must be doctored. Someone is deliberately framing Dad, but tonight there are quite a few political figures present, and this screen seems to be connected to the public display on the hotel's exterior. What should we do? Feigning anxiety, I turned around and smiled triumphantly. At this point, my 3-step plan had been successfully accomplished. The incident continued to escalate for several days, forcing Wang Zhizhong to suspend his duties and undergo investigation. Wang Sisi became a social pariah at school, with everyone avoiding her. As for me, I was once again placed on a pedestal. To be honest, I don't really care about what others think of me. These ups and downs at school over the past few days have made me see the ugliness of human nature. Let them talk about looks or status. It's none of my business anyway. Not long after, Wang Yishuan also came to me begging to get back together. He said innocently, Qianqian, I was wrong about you back then. It's all because of those rumor mongers on the forum. They caused misunderstandings between us. If I find out who this person is, I definitely won't let him off. After saying this fiercely, he looked at me with a tender expression. Qianqian, are you willing to give me another chance? I believe you still love me, don't you? I chuckled lightly. But aren't you already together with Sisi? I was seduced by her. Otherwise, with her looks, how could I possibly have been attracted to her? Wang Yishuan couldn't help but express his disdain whenever he mentioned Wang Sisi. Besides, her father is so bad. How good could she be? Their whole family is just a bunch of snakes and rats in a nest. Thinking about her now makes me feel sick. I slipped my hands into my pockets and turned off the recording button on my phone. Then, he forwarded this audio clip to Wang Sisi. As expected, before the second class even started, the two of them were already scuffling downstairs by the comprehensive building. Don't let Wang Sisi's petite frame fool you. She can hold her own in a fight. With her long nails, she clawed 2 bloody streaks across Huang Yishuan's face. It seems that our handsome school hunk is about to get disfigured. However, Wang Sisi didn't get off easy either. Not only did Huang Yishuan tear off a chunk of her hair, but her face was also beaten to a bruised and swollen mess. I stood quietly on the third-floor balcony, enjoying this beautiful scene, feeling inexplicably at ease. Now, there's only one final step left to complete my plan. Soon, it was my 20th birthday. My father threw a grand birthday party for me. Midway through the party, Wang Sisi arrived. Her face still bore some bruises. Although a thick layer of foundation was applied, it couldn't hide those marks. Seeing her, I pretended to be both surprised and delighted. Sisi, you've finally come. I thought you weren't coming today, Wang Sisi said pitifully. I didn't want to show my face like this, but we always celebrate your birthday together every year, and I didn't want to miss it this time. That's more like it. When we're 80, we'll still celebrate our birthdays together. I grabbed her hand and pulled her to a less crowded spot. Will you cut the cake with me later? Wang Sisi nodded with emotion, but at that moment, she discreetly gave a signal to a corner when I wasn't looking. In the next instant, an unfamiliar figure suddenly charged towards us. To be precise, he was charging towards Wang Sisi, but his mouth was shouting my name. Mu Qianqian, you bitch, I'm going to kill you. Wang Sisi spread her arms out in preparation, standing in front of me. You're not allowed to hurt Sister Qianqian. The man followed her lead, rushing up to her, only to make a symbolic cut on her arm before turning and running outside, watching the two's clumsy performance. I couldn't help but let out a snort of laughter, then signaled the bodyguard beside me to chase the man back. Sisi, why are you so foolish? I tightly held her wound, tears streaming down my face. Wang Sisi winced from my grip but still managed to be sentimental. Sister, I just didn't want you to get hurt, I said sorrowfully. Don't say anything more. I'm taking you to the hospital right now. Sister, I'm fine, Wang Sisi insisted, trying to sound strong. Actually, I've had a wish for a long time, to become sworn sisters with you. I wonder if I'm still worthy of that now. I kept nodding vigorously. What's with all this talk about qualifications? Don't even mention the idea of a sworn brotherhood. I'd even go for a vasectomy. Wang Sisi really wanted to complain, but she knew she couldn't. She continued to manipulate me, saying, Sister, shall we swear an oath of sisterhood today? My wound isn't too serious. It just needs a quick bandage. You know what's been happening at home lately. Mom has been really down. If we could swear our sisterhood in front of her, it might cheer her up a bit. All right, whatever you say. I gestured to the bodyguard behind me with tears in my eyes. Go get the first aid kit, the one with the red bag. I need to bandage my sister first. The bodyguard left promptly and returned shortly with the first aid kit. I took out the antiseptic powder for stopping bleeding and sprinkled most of it on Wang Sisi's wound. Then he took a large roll of gauze and wrapped her arm up like a mummy. After everything was taken care of, I helped her up, ready to head to the Wang household. As soon as Wang Sisi staggered 2 steps, her lips turned pale. I asked her with concern, what's wrong? Is the wound still hurting? Did I wrap it poorly? Maybe we should still go to the hospital. Wang Sisi pulled me. It's okay, sister, I'm not in any pain at all. It's just that I was sitting there. My feet went a bit numb. That's good. I couldn't help but smirk. No pain, right? I mixed half a bag of pepper into those medicinal powders. Upon arriving at the Wang residence, Wang Sisi eagerly led me to the Buddhist shrine. Xu Yufan was already waiting there. Upon seeing me, she first put on a fake show of affection. Immediately after, the two of them couldn't wait to get straight to the point. I knelt with Wang Sisi in front of the Buddhist altar, just as I had in my previous life, piercing our palms and letting the blood drip into a black porcelain bottle. Suddenly, dark clouds outside blocked the sun, and a chilling wind swept through the courtyard. The 2 streams of blood in the bottle quickly merged, emitting puffs of white smoke from the mouth of the bottle. It's working, we've done it. Wang Sisi grinned triumphantly. Xu Yufan also burst out laughing, but as she laughed, Wang Sisi suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood. In the next moment, she suddenly collapsed to the ground, convulsing uncontrollably, like she was having a seizure. What's going on? What's happening? Xu Yufan tightly hugged Wang Sisi, then looked at me as if nothing had happened. How come you're not affected at all? Didn't your destinies exchange? Did the ritual fail? I gently curved my lips. They did exchange, but it was with the fool under the overpass. As I spoke, I revealed the small blood packet I had been hiding in my palm. A series of guesses immediately surfaced in Shiyufan's mind, all eventually pointing to the same fact. So you knew all along. You knew, didn't you? She stood up, no longer paying attention to Wang Sisi, who was still twitching. I understand now. The person who reported Jizhong was also you, wasn't it? I unabashedly admit. So what if it's me? Shu Yufan trembled with her lips quivering, her eyes red. You heartless beast. The Wang family raised you for 8 years. How could you scheme against us like this? Then, she angrily turned around, as if searching for something everywhere. Finally, she pulled out a sharp dagger from beneath the statue. I'll kill you. I'm going to kill you. I quickly took several steps back and, without making a sound, clapped my hands towards the courtyard. The dozen or so bodyguards who had been lying in wait rushed in at the sound and easily bound Shu Yufan. Postscript: the Wang family was sealed off. Wang Zhizhong was sentenced to life imprisonment. Shu Yufan was also sentenced to 20 years for multiple offenses. After medical treatment, Wang Sisi managed to survive but became a complete fool. She was placed in a welfare home in the suburbs, always acting crazy, obsessed with playing the role of a princess returning home. I finally regained everything that was rightfully mine. Life returned to tranquility once again. Year later, my father hosted a birthday banquet for my 21st birthday at the top floor of the Crown Hotel. The newly appointed speaker also brought his daughter to celebrate. I heard that her daughter was lost when she was young and was found just last year. Originally, she was a bit slow-witted, but after a year of treatment, she has improved a lot. Halfway through the banquet, the little girl suddenly came up to me and curiously said, "Sister, for some reason, I feel very close to you and familiar." I smiled at her and calmly replied, "Perhaps we met in our past lives." I wasn't lying. In our past lives, we truly did meet. She was that homeless little fool who lived under the overpass. Back then, I was abandoned by the Wang family and left there, severely injured and on the brink of death, with everyone avoiding me. Only she, spoon by spoon, fed me the food she begged for. Even when I was on the verge of death, she took off her only tattered coat and covered me with it. On my deathbed, she was the only one who had ever given me warmth. In this life, I exchanged her blood with Wang Sisi for a fate. I only hope that from now on, she can live a happy and peaceful life. Consider it my repayment for that unintentional act of kindness.